yeah, I don't. Yeah, oh. Yeah, it's Midjourney is nuts.
I laughed really hard. I showed all my friends. I was like, I think I just got the best rescheduling email of my life. Like, I don't think it's going to get better than this. You're really big into putting humor and personalization into your outreach. Humor it's really hard to get right, you know? And I'm wondering how you manage to, it seems like you do it well, but then you also manage to train your team to be able to execute on humor and things like that.
Humor has a specific structure. I can make accountant jokes that accountants find funny or that I found super boring, you know, or whatever, cybersecurity jokes. But if you really want to have a shortcut to any editor's heart out there, you should use...
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining me for the newest episode of Link Masters. Today, we have Bibi Raven joining the podcast. Many of you likely have already heard of Bibi. She's a leading link builder, and she's known for using humor and personal connection to build links at scale for clients through her own agency, BibiBuzz. So she's here to discuss her take on link building and what's going on in the industry today. So thank you so much, Bibi, for joining me.
Yay! Finally,
we did it. We made it work. You guys didn't catch it, but when we first signed on, fire alarms immediately went off, and so Bibi had to go and just make sure that everything was okay. You know, thankfully it seems to be okay so far. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, if you start seeing flames or something, then yeah, then tell me.
Then we know. Then we know something's
Yeah.
happening. There is a fire. Well, Bibi, I'm super pumped to have you on and to just talk all things link building and your story. So let's get into it. Start me off. Can you share the journey of starting and growing your own agency from a one-woman show to what it is today?
Yeah, so I think I was working on a financial administration of a school, like a school for adults.
Okay.
And I got pregnant, and then I needed to bring my kids to a daycare because that's normal, right, in the Netherlands. And it's very back then it was very hard to find a spot. But I got a spot at a daycare, and I went there, and I realized I really didn't want it. There was some instinct feeling that told me this is not what you want to do. So against all normal things like bringing your kid to the daycare and working full time, I got a deal with my then employer that she would fire me for a year and then hire me back, and that way I was able to work from home. Well, that was why I was able to stay home. But then I found out that at that time, when my kid had a spot at the daycare, there was actually somebody working there that abused 80 kids, over 80 kids, and his nickname was Monster of Riga. You can Google it. So that gave me a huge green light for always trusting my instinct, which made me realize that no, I don't want to work in an office. You know, I want to stay home with the kids. So I googled working from home, and that's how I started to get into make money online, and then affiliate sites. And from the affiliate sites, I got a mastermind, and then those people started asking me to build links for them. And that's how I got into link building. So it's a really weird story, but it's just the only way I could see being able to combine family life and working. Now it's very normal working from home, but I've been doing it for over 13, 14 years or something. And yeah, that's how I got into SEO.
Well, that is a wild story. I'm so glad that you did trust your instincts and you decided to stay home and I mean ultimately kind of launched you into where you are today. Um, paint me a picture of that, you know, where you are with BibiBuzz today. How big is the agency? What does that look like?
Yeah, so a little while back, it used to be 30 people
Mhm.
at 4 teams. But then we had some management issues, and eventually I had to fire some people. So now we're at 21, I think.
Okay.
And I also realized that I don't want to be a big or a bigger agency. I just want to stay kind of like a boutique agency. And we cater to clients worldwide, but mostly in the US. And I have a business partner in Florida. My sister works with me, she's in Spain.
Amazing. I mean, you're talking about, you know, this change between having a big team and scaling things back. I'm wondering what your approach is to like building a team and hiring. And when you are looking for people and you're looking to bring the right people on, what kind of qualities or experience are you looking for?
Yeah, so right now I'm not going out to hire people.
Okay.
And the last people I did hire, they came to me because they heard of other people that was good working for me, or they found me some other way. Um, but the qualities that I look for is somebody who can think outside of the box a little bit, who's creative and has a lot of empathy. I think that's
Okay.
really important. And also a really fine understanding of the nuances in language.
Yeah. Empathy. I mean, how do you, if you're like hiring for someone and you're looking for empathy, how do you kind of find that or tease that out of somebody?
Yeah, so when I do a test before hiring someone, I test them on potential, but I also test them on the exact work that they will be doing, because I don't really
Mm.
believe in indirect tests, or I'm just too dumb for it, right? So one of the tests is to look at a site and think about what their business goals are, or how you can
Mm.
help them, and that has to do with empathy. And I think link builders really need that, because you need to offer a good value proposition. If you don't know what's valuable for the other, because you don't have any empathy and you only think about yourself, your own goals, um, that way of link building, yeah, then you're not made for that kind of link building.
Mm. That's an excellent, I guess, an excellent strategy. It kind of ties to my next question because I wanted to talk to you about relationship building within link building. I know that's a focus of yours, and I'm wondering, why does that matter and why does that stand out amongst, say, general link building strategies?
Yeah, I think a lot of link building has become very transactional, which is normal.
Okay.
So a lot of people, or most of the link builders, are paying for links, and that's fine. But as soon as you start paying for links, the site that's getting that money, they might lower their values, and when they lower their values about who they let on to their site or who they link out, the whole site becomes of lesser quality.
Mm.
So you're paying for links, for sites that might, at some point start opening up for everybody, and you're getting the exact same links as your competitor is getting, because it's very easy to pay for links. And that's why, uh, to throw in the mix, you need to have some relationships with people that are not based on money, that are based on something else. And
Mm.
that's why it's important to build a relationship. But over time, it can be hard, because a relationship takes time. So what I try to do with my email is to make an instant connection, instead of maybe building a long-term relationship. And sometimes the long-term relationship does happen, but you need to make an instant connection as soon as somebody sees your subject line.
Okay. Yeah, I have a lot of like the kind of areas to follow up on that. I mean, I do want to talk to you about paying for links in a bit. Let's start on that connection bit because I know that you have like some really amazing strategies and how you do that and how you manage to kind of hook people right from those initial emails. So I was wondering, like, when you start working with a new client, like, what's your process for coming up with campaign ideas and angles and ways of finding connection to get links?
Yeah, so the first thing that we do is to identify the target pages.
Okay.
Sometimes the client already knows these. Sometimes we like to add some target pages. And then when you know the target pages, you know which audience would be interested in the topics on the target page, or the tool, whatever you're offering. And once you know the audience that has that interest, you know in what kind of landscape they live, what their needs are, their pain points, but also which other companies are operating in the same landscape that are not competing with you.
Okay.
And that opens up more ways to collaborate.
You're looking for ways to kind of start that relationship building. And I wanted to talk to you about kind of specific examples. I was wondering if you have like say, a fun example of a campaign that worked particularly well.
Um, yeah, so one of the campaigns that worked well, one that's more recent, was around link building for another digital marketing agency, which is interesting because it's sort of in the it's sort of in the same family.
Okay.
Um, but what we did was we thought about what's important now for marketers, and one of the things is storytelling, and another thing is to be authentic.
Mm.
So instead of doing the template sequence, like the normal, you first send an email, then you do a follow-up email, and then maybe you do a last email, we did the whole sequence as a story.
Mm.
So it was about sales because we were reaching out to sites that were talking about sales.
Okay.
And the first email had a subject line like, I think it was called um, "The Short Saga of Sales, Chapter 1." And then they opened the email, and then it was actually a typewriter, and it was an image that we made. And on the typewriter, it said something like "Hey you" or whatever. And then it went into storytelling. And then the second email, the follow up, the first follow up was I think chapter 2 or something in a subject line, and then it went more into the storytelling. And we got some really good reactions from that because people wanted to know what the next chapter was or what the follow up was, and they really liked the storytelling aspect. So yeah, that worked really well.
That's amazing. When you're talking about building that story, was like that's something that you came up with yourself? Were you using maybe your team to generate that, AI to generate that? I'm just curious. I don't know if that's like insider secrets or something though.
No, no, no.
You can tell me.
I think it was Sammy, one of my team members. He came up with that. So he lives in the Philippines,
Okay.
and he's always really out there with his ideas. So he came up with that, and I used, I think, AI to edit his template a little bit to make it shorter because sometimes he starts rambling, Sammy, and it just becomes you follow you lose the storyline, right? You lose the thread of it.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was a combination of him, me, and then AI.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you literally you wrote them a story and you kept them engaged like that. I feel like I'm like, where's your course that you're going to be launching on how to do that and
Oh
build
yeah.
story for marketers? Because I feel like that would be go ahead, you'd make a lot of money on that. I wanted to ask, so you've come up with like this amazing example of, you used an incredibly creative idea to hook these marketers and these people to kind of come in, be engaged with the story, want to work with you. Um, but what's like the weirdest, say, campaign or email that you came up with that ended up working out?
There's so many.
You can throw me as many like weird examples as you want.
Yeah. I think one of the weirdest that I really enjoyed was one around chickens.
Okay.
And yeah, it was about how chickens were battling each other and they were bastards. And I don't think we used the word bastards, but it was about how chickens are arguing with each other, and it was so funny, and people really loved reading that. So
Okay.
that was a really cool one. But oh wait, there's another one too. I think it was about the moon, a restaurant at the end of the moon or something. And then in the middle of the email, it said another thing to not look into the sun or something. And it was such a weird psychedelic email, but people really liked it. So they were, yeah, I
S-
don't know.
Psychedelic emails. I remember you and I, we had been talking and you said like cats seem to really work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so if you really want to have a shortcut to any editor's heart out there, you should use cats in your emails.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've been playing with lately is Midjourney. So I generate a lot of Midjourney images. And so what I now do is that I combine the niche that we're reaching out to with cats. So we were reaching out to, I think, trucker sites, and we combined cats with trucker stuff. So there's a cat staring out into the horizon, drinking a coffee behind the steer of a giant big rig, things like that. And people really appreciate it within that.
That's so awesome. I would have
Mm.
never I would have never thought it's cats, that it's like it's the winner and that's the way to get links or get attention and get people to like respond. I know when you and I were working on kind of scheduling this interview, you'd sent me your own mid-journey version of my name and my last name, and it came up with something really terrifying.
Oh yeah, I don't. Oh yeah. Oh.
It came up with a really scary owl. I don't know how Nuttycombe
Oh yeah,
translated
that
to that,
was
but
awesome. Yeah, it's Midjourney is nuts.
I laughed really hard. I showed all my friends. I was like, "I think I just got the best rescheduling email of my life. Like, I don't think it's gonna get better than this."
Good.
Yeah. Um, well, it's amazing that you've kind of found like this system um, to get links, to draw a connection with people. I'm just curious. I don't know if there's maybe you have any other tactics like that you swear by for link building.
Yeah, so one other thing, and it's becoming more and more common, is linkable assets.
Okay.
So that's I do content ideation for clients where I come up with something that is easier to build links to because it's not commercial or self-serving and could get passive backlinks. So linkable assets is definitely something that anyone should do if they're doing link building.
Speaking of link building, in your eyes, like what makes a link truly valuable?
If it helps you rank, no. Yeah, so mm, there are so many things to it because I think the sweet spot is a link on a website where your audience is on a page that um, makes people want to know more and click on the link and go to the target page. Um, and even maybe something that could that somebody would share on social. So that would be the sweet spot that makes a link really valuable if it's so clicky and so magnetic in so many ways. But
Mm,
it's not always possible, right? But that would be the best. Well, actually, no. One of the best links would be a competitor link. So if you get a
okay.
link from a competitor, that's really great because they're trying to do the same thing as you are, and then they do your work basically.
Hmm. I love that. And I love that you just described it as magnetic. I think that's a really
Yeah.
interesting way of like thinking about it. Um, I guess on the other side of things, I did want to talk to you about, what makes links too risky. So earlier we were talking a little bit about like paid links, and I just want to talk to you a bit more on that subject. Um, can you talk to me about how you stay away from, let's call it link farms? So websites built with the sole purpose of selling backlinks. And what's like an easy tell that a site is a link farm?
Yeah, so we have a whole checklist for that.
Okay.
One thing is that you just have to look at a site with your eyeballs, because at some point you start recognizing, let's say, 75% of the link farms just by the way it's built or the way their headlines are. But other things that could tell you if it's a link farm is if they're linking out to sensitive niches such as crypto or CBD or casino.
Hmm.
If they have a right for us page, because that's something that other link builders scrape, and they're basically trying to attract people uh, that want to buy links.
Hmm.
Then if they're very random, so a generic site isn't necessarily bad because a lifestyle site can cover a lot of different topics, for instance. But if it goes from dildos to business, then it's a really random site. So that's a no.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and but the other side of it is when you reach out to a site that you think looks good, and then they reply back and they say, yeah, yeah, sure, it's $25, and then they have a whole list of other sites under it. That's a red flag as well. And I'm not against paid links, but you just need to vet your sites carefully.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on like, those link marketplaces that blatantly publish a list of sites you can buy links from, complete with say prices and metrics.
Yeah, so not every paid link is the same, right? I think
Hmm.
it's normal for an editor to at some point start to realize that somebody's making money off them.
Hmm.
And if they still have standards, they can get money, they can get a link fee, right? But they still need to be careful as well. So I'm not against all paid links, but if you have a marketplace where all the links are visible and that anybody can get, then I think it's basically just throwing your money away,
Hmm.
because they might be valuable in the beginning, but at some point, I'm pretty sure Google just starts ignoring them because they show a huge footprint. Everybody's using all the health sites that are in that category. Yeah, so I don't think they will do much. So you probably, yeah, it's a loss of money.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if it kind of based on the things that we're saying right now, but it's worth asking. Can you talk to me about where you think most link builders go wrong?
Yeah, I think it's the empathy part.
Okay.
Um, so if a link builder doesn't think about the other person at the other end of the inbox, or doesn't think why somebody would link to them, that's your mistake number one. Then
Mm.
then you're always going to have a really hard time, or you're always going to end up paying for stuff.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, like on that note, when we're talking about the lack of empathy, um, because I know you were saying earlier, like you're really big into putting humor and personalization into your outreach. Humor is it's really hard to get right, you know? And I'm wondering how you manage to it seems like you do it well, but then you also manage to train your team to be able to execute on humor and things like that, and being able to get that right. Like, how do you do that? I know that's kind of like a hard question to ask. Like, how are you
Yeah.
funny and
No.
it works? But especially like, how are you funny and it works, and you get other people to be funny and be a part of that engine with you?
Yeah, so I'm not doing humor because I think I have to do it. It's just because I like laughing, and I'm a funny person. So for me, it's one of the most natural things, ways to go, right?
Right.
If I was a data scientist, I would have a very different approach to link building.
Mm.
I wish I was a data scientist. That would be really cool. But but the people I hire, I think they already show some humor when they apply for the job, because they have to go through a test and actually write an email. But how I train them then is by showing them that humor has a specific structure.
Hmm.
So that's also why you can use AI for making jokes, right?
Okay.
But you still need a bit of sense of humor to recognize if a joke is funny or not, of course. But you don't necessarily need it to create a joke. So you can if you look at Reddit, for instance, and you look for a doctor joke, you just look at the one that's upvoted the most. And if it's suitable, if it's not horribly offensive, then you can use that in your email. Um, and if you're reaching out to specific prospect list, every subculture or every industry or whatever has their own jokes, and
Mm.
only the people in that subculture understand it. So I can make accountant jokes that accountants find funny, or that I found super boring, you know, or whatever, cybersecurity jokes and things like that. So it's all out there. The only thing you probably need is to recognize if it's funny or not.
Okay, so it sounds like you're doing research on kind of like every category, subculture, and you're basically having to understand like multiple groups of people in industries at any given time when you're link building.
Yeah, but it's 30 minutes of Googling, and you have it. It's not You can also go to AI and ask them for a customer persona, or
Mm.
a typical day in the day of a lawyer or something, and you get so much information right there. So you just have to bluff yourself through it. I mean, imagine you go to a party and you know that everybody loves Harry Potter there, and you don't like Harry Potter, but you do kind of want to, open up conversations. You can sit on the toilet and Google some stuff about some Harry Potter facts, and you'll be able to bluff yourself through it for a couple of hours until they kick you out, of course.
So, somebody starts disappearing in the toilet for like 30 minutes and you're wondering what's happening.
Yeah.
They're just Googling like how to make jokes to people at this party. I love
It's
it.
not diarrhea, not at all.
um, I think it's really cool. You've mentioned like a couple different ways that you're using AI in your agency, and
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you more about that because I love it. It seems like you're really creatively implementing AI and making it work. And I'm wondering, how do you manage to, I guess, wrangle AI in to make it functional for you? But are you using any particular, like, say, tactics to create like a prime output for AI? Because as we know, AI outputs aren't perfect, and you need to fact check, you need to curate. So how do you do that?
Yeah, so AI gets very cheesy. So there are a
Okay.
lot of words and phrases that AI loves. For instance, unfeeling, unlocking, mastering the art of. All those words it keeps repeating.
Okay.
Um, So it's very important that you recognize AI cheese. And the other
AI
thing is
cheese, I
that,
love it.
yeah, I call it AI cheese because it's just so cheesy.
Oh no.
But the other thing is that if you're working on an email with AI, don't don't say the word email. So it's just like Fight Club, you know. Don't talk about email to AI, but you have to do it element by element. And the other part of it is that you have to. There's this Japanese saying, I don't know who said it, but the better you formulate the question, the closer you are to the answer. So if you formulate your question absolutely perfect, you already have the answer. And the same goes with AI. So you have to use specific words. I call them magic triggers. And that's how you get creativity out of AI. So, for instance, for me, if I use an intro in an email or a subject line, I use the word shower thoughts, because there you can give AI more liberty to come up with stuff that's sort of not normal. So you can use Perplexity or Gemini and you ask them, hey, can you list 10 really funny and bizarre shower thoughts on home insurance?
Hmm.
And then it's really great what kind of stuff comes out, and it's also really funny, and you can use that for an intro. The last thing that you can do that's for a little bit of flavor is that you can choose your favorite writers or copywriters, and you can ask AI, can you do this in the style of? So
Okay.
one of the people that I admire the most is Samantha Irby. She's I don't know if you know her, but she's really really funny. So I ask AI to do this in the style of Samantha Irby, and then yeah, it really really helps. Has a very relatable, blunt, dark humor kind of writing.
And it seems to get it right. Like it really does capture that essence.
Yeah, it does. So
Wow.
it's weird, but don't ask it to write an email in the style of Samantha Irby, because then you've used the word email, and that immediately triggers. Oh, what do I know about email? Oh, here are 1 million emails I have in my database that I was trained on, and it will start throwing a really basic link builder email at you. So do not use the word email.
Okay. All right. And like you said, it's like don't talk about Fight Club. Don't
Yeah,
mention
we'll
email.
talk about Fight Club.
I love it. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk to you about a little bit back on the agency. When you were scaling your agency and taking on new clients and hiring link builders, how were you able to stay on top of it all and continue to grow the agency?
Yeah, so I think Pitchbox was the only way that was possible,
Okay.
because um, I've tried other link building tools and they were mostly built from a in-house perspective.
Hmm.
So they weren't built from the idea that you have 10 plus projects and need to and manage like a team of 20 people, that all have to be coordinated and all have to work in the same tool. So what I really liked about Pitchbox was also that it was kind of modular.
Hmm.
The way it's the interface is, it's just very simple and it's very flexible. You can switch between projects and between opportunities and all those things really really fast and seamless.
What did your agency look like before you started using the tool? Talk to me about how you were trying to put things together.
Yeah, I didn't really have an agency. I had like, I don't know what's the minimum level of an agency, but I think I had like two people or something, and we were working on a couple of projects, and
Okay.
that's it. So once we had Pitchbox, which was a big investment for us at the time, and people were telling me, that that's bizarre that you're putting so much money in, it made everything possible.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was really small. I was really small freelancer before that.
Okay. So you went from like two or three people and you invested in the tool. Was it almost immediately that you were able to start scaling once you had Pitchbox and you started putting systems in place, or, maybe did it take some
Oh,
time?
um, no, we scaled really fast, and
Yeah.
I think maybe too fast.
Okay.
But uh, yeah, it was possible to grow real fast because like I said, it was kind of like modular.
Hmm.
So the only thing that we needed to do was, with every new project that we were able to take on, hire more people, put them in the system, and that was it. And before that, before I was growing, I had a lot of people asking for my services, and I had to tell them no, right? And then
Mm.
I was able to say yes. Uh, at some point, I even had a waiting list.
In terms of everything you were talking about earlier and the way that you like to do your outreach and campaigns and things like that, is there a way that Pitchbox like really marries into your particular strategy?
Yeah, I think the flexibility is really important. So when I notice something doesn't work, it's really easy to start tweaking all these small parts of the whole link building process while it's running, right? So maybe the prospecting doesn't work. Okay, we're changing the prospecting, or we're changing one of the follow-ups, or some personal details of somebody who we're reaching out to, or content pictures or whatever. And it's all so easy, and the overview is also it's very easy to overview all those different changes of all those different projects. It's just, yeah, the flexibility really, really helps.
Is there anything kind of like really meaningful or that you remember in particular about implementing this tool and bringing it into the fold?
When I just got the tool, it was a big investment for us, because we were just kind of small.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, why not take full use of that and just start asking the help desk for advice or whatever every day, all day long. So
Okay.
I was, you can ask everybody who helped to the help desk. I was bugging them all day long, and I was pestering and making jokes as well. But because I was giving feedback on stuff all the time, or asking for features, or uh, the tool basically became part of me, or I felt like it was almost a little bit my own.
Mm.
Um, Also because they changed a lot of things, and now, for instance, there are also a lot of AI features, and some of those AI features are very similar to how I write templates, for instance. So it really feels like I was part of the development of the tool itself. And I think if you're really serious about using a tool for everyday use, you should be with their help desk all the time, because they might find you fucking annoying, but at some point, just to get rid of you, they start including you in the development process. So that has been really special. And now Pitchbox is more like a family than anything else.
That's amazing. I just had a couple like final wrapping up questions for you. I appreciate you kind of getting into your story and how some of those things changed over time. I'm kind of wondering what keeps your passion for this work alive and what tends to motivate you every day to show up and continue to do what you do.
um I think that when I get stuck or whatever, I think it's always coming back to me. So any success that I've had, or any good results, were always because I was myself, and because I did some stuff that nobody else was doing, just because I didn't have fear of trying out weird stuff that I liked personally. And that keeps happening, right? Sometimes it doesn't work, but overall it keeps happening enough times to show me that, yeah, you just do whatever you want.
Mm,
As long as it's different than what everybody else is doing, it's gonna work. So yeah, I like that.
that's awesome. Where do you see link building heading in the future? What's your best guess?
Every year people say SEO is dead or whatever. First off, it's usually not true.
Mm,
And even then, if it dies, it doesn't mean that everything I've learned is useless, or that all the talents and skills that I have, I cannot apply to something else. In the end, it's more about those things like empathy and creativity than the exact method that you're using.
mm. I think that's a really great point. Those intangible skills that you are looking for in your team and how you build things, they're going to translate no matter what. You're going to be able to apply them to something else no matter the changes. I think that's a
Yeah.
great point. Um, if we were to look ahead, what's on the horizon for BibiBuzz? Any like big dreams, anything you're excited about that's coming up?
Yeah, I do want to make a course, and
Yeah.
people have been asking for it, so I'm
Okay.
yeah, I might be doing that.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, if people want to keep an eye on you and the things you're working on, where can they find you? Where can they reach out?
Yeah, you can go to my ugly site, bbuzz.com. And otherwise, I'm on LinkedIn
Okay.
under, I think, Bibi The Link Builder or Bibi Raven. I'm not sure. I left Twitter, so don't go looking for me there.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. LinkedIn probably.
Probably
That's
LinkedIn.
the
I feel like I see you posting like on LinkedIn a lot and some really funny stuff. So
yeah. I've been doing more there. But I'm not. I don't really have a LinkedIn vibe, so I'm just posting stuff. I don't know, BB stuff.
baby stuff. Okay. Well, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you follow your own vibe and you've managed to make that work and become, one of the most successful tools in your toolbox is just being yourself and uh, drawing real connection with people from that. So I've loved hearing your story, your take on link building. I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with me today. It's been great.
Yay! It was fun.
Well, cool. Thanks, Bibi. I can't wait to catch up and see what you're doing next. I'll be keeping an eye on all the cool things you're going and coming up with, and can't wait for the course as well.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.